Welcome to Charting Cryptos and Commodities. It's Wednesday, the 25th of January, 2023. And for someone who was born in the 60s, this is like living in the future. I just still can't believe. I remember, guys, when we hit the year 2000, that was bizarre, coming out of the 1900s. And now to be 23 years into that, mind-blowing, and how much trading has changed from literally taking a pencil to a piece of paper, drawing stuff on charting paper. And now, of course, we've got these great full color charts. It's wonderful. I am taking you back a little bit in time. The chart we are looking at is basically what they had back in the old days. You have volume and you have price. Now, what's so beautiful is I'm able to throw up here on the screen the weekly, the 2-day, and the half-day. And if you follow the lines here, you can see this vertical line tracks on each of the charts. It's so gorgeous. So when you go down the weekly chart, you can see it jump by leagues on the half-day and the 2-day. And then, of course, when you go here on the half-day chart, it takes a while for things to move along. So it is beautiful. And, of course, if you want to enlarge a chart, you just click on any chart that you're looking at. And then what you do is, I'm going just down below to this toggle to maximize, and it will call that singular chart up on the screen so you can delve right in, draw trend lines, do all the stuff that you need to do. So let's look today, and this is a chart that I personally use to trade off of because I love volume and I love price and I love seeing when things take off. And of course, if you use the different formulas that we put together, particularly if you use the always winning formula, if you are making sure to limit your losses and, of course, expand your gains, you don't worry so much about how many times you lose. You worry about minimizing your losses and maximizing your gains. So when the charts are telling me to jump into moves, I'm looking to do so. And when do they tell me to jump into moves? Well, particularly when I start seeing things going green on all three charts, and when that weekly chart goes green in volume. Now, does it always work? No, you can see it doesn't always sustain for a long period of time, but depending on the average true range that I set my profit and loss bands at, I don't have to have the move go on very long. As long as I jump in early, when I start seeing volume going in the same direction as price. And I would encourage you to practice this stuff. Now, Bitcoin, I've stayed away from for quite a while. We had some successful practice trades in Bitcoin until Bitcoin crashed. And then the charts got all screwed up. What I'm excited about that you're seeing here on the screen now is how Bitcoin, with this nice clean up move, has made me feel much better. You can see the volume. If you look at the volume tabs here, you can see where the volume when things started going. If you look at this thin black line here, that's the average volume. I think that's the 20 period. So this would be a 20-week average volume. Peaked above it in this second week after things went green, and then it stayed above it on this third week after things went green in volume and in candles. And of course, it is slacked off some this week. We're not out of this week yet, so we'll see how much more volume there is there. You can also see on the 2-day how the volume has peaked and is waning. And of course, this half day, if you look at it, you can see at the end of the day on Wednesday how volume really jacked up nicely. So again, we'll keep our eye on these things, wait for there to be a pullback, and then hopefully we'll have a good jumping in point if indeed this isn't just a short-term bump up in Bitcoin. And then we go to the Ethereum chart. Same kind of thing. Good to see things popping up, resetting, hopefully cleaning out all that old trub and resetting the charts for movement so we can feel better about what is going on. If you're interested in any of these cryptocurrencies, you know, we followed for many weeks this Bitwise 10 Crypto Index Fund. What is it about? Well, it tracks the top 10 cryptocurrencies and weights them as per market share. The biggest mover here, of course, being Bitcoin, and then everything else. But look how clean this chart has been moving. Very nice to see that. Very excited to see that. And it's very helpful to see things moving in that direction with the volume and the candlesticks. And of course, it's been nice over particularly these last 3 weeks for the cryptocurrencies. Remember, the big mover is what? Big mover is always Bitcoin. When Bitcoin's doing well, most everybody's doing well. There's always going to be some outliers there. But as you look in the crypto space, even in the various crypto-related ETFs, such as this one, Amplified Transformational Data Sharing ETF, you can see it too has been going up nicely over the last 3 weeks. Here's another one, the Siren NASDAQ Next Gen Economy. It also has been going up quite nicely. We look at something like the Innovative Transaction and Process ETF. It too has been going up over these last 3 weeks, although it had seen some gains back prior to this, starting back in October, and did not suffer as much as some of these other crypto-related or tangentially crypto-related assets. Of course, we look at something like the VanEck Digital Transformation ETF. Again, we see last 3 weeks in particular going up nicely. That's what we suspect would happen. When we look at something like Polkadot here, we can see again last 3 weeks things going up quite strongly. So we've got various ETFs. When you start seeing Bitcoin doing well, not that you won't see fluctuations in smaller cryptocurrencies, but when Bitcoin's doing well, typically everything is poised at least to do well. That is what we see. So what are we waiting for with Bitcoin, with these various cryptocurrencies? To see, let everything settle, see if things are going to rise above where you have seen Bitcoin peak out previously. If we go back to August, we can see, before we had the big drop, we can see where things peaked out around that 24,865, something like that. Again, hit up there for about 4 weeks, dropped down. We've already blown through where it had topped out previously. If we go to this area around the 21,500 mark. So again, keep an eye on things. Maybe things will keep blasting up. Maybe this is just short-lived. To have some trepidation in this space is not unwise, because there's been some killing going on and you don't want your scalp taken. So let's move on. We're hoping to have some potential trades in the future, practice trades in the future on this crypto space. We'll see how that stacks up. Now, let's keep this same chart up. We're going to take a glance at our favorite commodities. What are they doing? Well, my friends, remember how everybody was going to be freezing to death this winter because natural gas is going to be too expensive for anybody to buy? Well, we look at the United States Natural Gas Fund, and of course it's a commodity that's traded all across the world. We look at what's happened, and again, just for the day, down 6.48%. You can see where the peak, the most recent peak, was reached back in August. And if we go further back in time, you can see another peak. But we can see where natural gas has fallen off quite substantially. And again, continues to move down. What that prior peak, 34.50, and of course down during the day as low as $9.81. Wow. I mean, wow. That is quite a drop. Now, what's up with the U.S. Gasoline Fund? Well, that has been all over the place. It was down, then it was up, then it was down, and now it is back up, heading toward that most recent peak that we saw back in the end of October. How high will gas go? As for the day alone, it was up 1.93%. So for these last, 6 weeks? Tracking up, up, up. Keep an eye on that. And I would also encourage you, as you look at gas, look at this weekly. Look at when things have switched over, how they've gone from red to green to red to green. Is that not tracking rather nicely there? It is, isn't it? Is that a potential practice trading opportunity for you? Whenever you see nice, clean movements, you do want to go back in time. And again, this is what practice trading is all about. When you find an opportunity, you want to see what your potential jumping in point is, how early you could jump into that once you see things going green on the candle. How soon could you jump into that, and how accurately could you use an average true range, maybe on your 2-day chart, for this kind of weekly turn, and then pull the trigger? How early in that week, beginning the 3rd of October, could you have potentially jumped into that practice trade? At what level? And could you have turned a profit using your average true range to help you use this little widget over here, the prediction and measurement tools, using the long position to be able to set your profit and loss bands, and of course be able to make something work. Again, this is what backtracking and practicing is all about. It can be well worth it to you. And what I love so much about what I call the 3 time frame chart, the 3TF, is ultra simple. You don't have to be some kind of math expert or anything else. You're looking for predictable movements, either up or down. Some charts it'll just be up moves, others just down moves, others it'll be just seasons of time when the charts are accurate. That is why when you find your favorite ETFs, your favorite commodities, your favorite stocks, whatever it is you want to be able to track, you need to start practice trading them. You need to take notes on your practice trades. You need to learn the seasons where those stocks or ETFs work, time frames when they work, maybe they work around particular ex-dividend dates, whatever it might be. You want to look for trends, and when you find those, you want to keep up with that. You want to note that down. Remember, if you don't write it down, it's like it didn't happen. That's something you hear a lot in the medical profession. You hear it in the legal profession. You hear it in the policing profession. If you don't write it down, it didn't happen. Why? Because you didn't note it and you won't remember it. So make sure to always go through and after action every single practice trade that you do. Learn by doing and remember. And that is what the real value of having your own little trader's diary, your own little trader's almanac, to then be able to follow the things that work. You'll also find, this is something I learned years ago when trading gold. I had a half-day chart on gold that worked as a single trading chart. If gold rotated over going up, it was beautiful. I could jump in. If I wanted to short gold when it rotated over, I could take it down, and it was like clockwork. It worked beautifully until I believe it was January or so of 2019, it just stopped. So sometimes you'll find a stock or ETF that tracks in a certain time frame alone that just works for you. And then you'll find times when they stop working. And some stocks and ETFs just aren't worth the hassle because they're not trackable. So let's look at where corn is. You can just see corn slowly going up, slowly going down. Just sort of looks sort of boring, doesn't it? It does. Not anything I'm interested in, but we'll see where, corn goes. If it starts really fluxing a lot, might give us some opportunities. We look at what's happening with copper. Copper, heading back up again over the last many weeks. And again, it's wonderful to be able to follow these on the short, medium, and long-term chart and see all of that before you. And again, you can look for patterns, things that will help you see some accuracies and at the same time dangers. What about oil? Well, we can see oil been down for a few weeks and then over the last few weeks sliding sideways. going up some, but again, not a whole lot of great movement in oil there. Wheat, a lot of feedstocks in wheat, a lot of humans eat wheat, and of course we can see wheat, for the most part, been slowly over the last several weeks heading down. What about gold? Gold, so beautiful. Look at how gorgeous this was when it really took off. I mean, it in November, on that week, November 7, just broke out and has hammered up relentlessly on this weekly chart. Still going up, waiting for a good pullback in gold, hoping there's going to be some profit taking here soon to gin gold back down and allow us to reset, recalibrate, and then jump into another gold trade. Soybeans. Soybeans have reached a recent high back at the end of the year in December, and of course, a big down week this week. We look at silver, and of course, silver is perhaps resetting for us, pulling back some. Maybe gold will be doing this soon. Glad to see it, because when silver took off, you can see when it went from red to green. Now, it started its move a little early and then killed itself. Actually tried that back in September. Probably not give you enough to get much of anything, and then it turned. Didn't turn too wickedly bad, though, on you. Not enough that would have just killed you. Could have gotten in, gotten out, gotten in, gotten out. That would have been a harder bit of a loss. But if you would have stuck around and, again, minimized your losses and jumped in when silver really turned around and shot up, somewhere around that 17 mark up to what, a high of 22.54, something along those lines. Quite nice. Now, silver this week turning red, going down. That's good to see. Like to see silver pull back a whole lot, reset, and then give us another opportunity to jump back into that. So keep your eye on silver. You don't want to be getting it right now. The dummies are buying it now. Wait again to do a practice trade. So what do we see going on with sugarcane? Well, sugarcane hit its most recent high just a few weeks ago, back in mid-December, then started slowing down, moving down. It's heading up some. Again, another food-related commodity. And of course, coffee. I was glad to see coffee come off those highs, head down. Last 3 weeks been heading down. This week turning over a little bit again. Not a whole lot of opportunity for a whole bunch of trading in coffee, although that move not too bad. Let's see. Well, it's tried to go green early, then sort of fake out, and then started pumping up. Only went up for 3 weeks, but then gave you a pretty good exit signal there before it started moving down. Little faults pop up there, and then over these 3 weeks, not a lot. So coffee, hard. But again, you want to find things that are moving, okay, and that are moving in discernible patterns. That's what we look for. So that's our coverage of both cryptos and commodities. I love bringing this to you every week because it lets me sort of get my feet a little more wet looking at all these things and talking about them. And don't you love this chart? If you like this chart and you would like to know how to set it up, why don't you email me, cw@chartingwealth.com. I'll give you a little, some education on how to do that. cw@chartingwealth.com. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth, World Headquarters.